Well, hi everyone. I had a bit of a break from the podcasts, had a bit of a big scare at home. We went for an MRI the next day and found there was a brain tumor. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Catherine. I'm 36, mom of a 4-year-old, happily married, and it was a big scare. I've worked in the medical field for 15 years. So the problem with that is I knew exactly what it meant, what I'm going to go through. And that made it quite scary. But for the first time ever, I was put in the shoes of all the women we've supported being diagnosed with breast cancer. I remember on the day, I went for the MRI. It was an old student of mine. I'm lecturing now at the university, and we were chatting, and suddenly specialists were running in and out and checking, and the last thing I thought was that something was wrong. In my head, I was thinking, they got new software. It must be very cool. And even when we went to the internal medicine specialist looking at the images, even then it didn't sink in. I knew exactly what I was looking at. I was sort of joking through it. And then when we jumped into the car, suddenly it sunk. And suddenly I thought, what if Nathan grows up without his mom? What if my husband doesn't have someone that makes his favorite pasta anymore? What ifs and what ifs. And soon enough, those what ifs turned into, why didn't this happen to someone else? Why me? I've dedicated my whole life without any recognition, without any intervention, working so hard to selflessly give over to women diagnosed with breast cancer. Why did it happen to me? Then the next stage that happened was the worst, and we all do it, Googling the procedure that I was going to do. So to remove this brain tumor, it's called a meningioma. It's typically benign, but there was a risk because I'm so young that it could be malignant. And I've worked with neurosurgeons before. I knew exactly what a craniotomy means and what it's going to be, but I was Googling people's experiences exactly step by step, and it actually made it worse. That weekend, I had this rising anxiety of, I can't go through this theater because there's so many variables that can go wrong, and I've seen them before. Thank goodness for family and support. And this is one thing I want to share with all of you. I've always said it to patients, don't distance yourself from family support or think, I've always thought that I'm a tough cookie. But that night, I sent a message to every single person I've ever known, all my 100 students that I've been teaching the past year, and just said, look, this is what's going on, and I need you guys to be there for me. It's going to be tough. Send a prayer, think of me, but it's happening. I'm going for a craniotomy. And it was the most calming feeling the next day when I woke up. I think all my support groups started a prayer or started a thinking about it. And I woke up, I've never woken up so calm and so rested after sending this to everyone. I felt so supportive, or supported for that matter. So surgery went swimmingly. It was like a third of the time that they typically do it. Thank goodness it turned out it was completely benign. The pathologist had a look. It has less than 1% of coming back. I woke up in ICU, and the first thing I did, typical me working in the field, was wiggling the other side just to make sure, can I move everything? Did I lose any of my main functions? Because they were working on my brain and everything was fine. I actually even ended up teaching the student nurses in hospital when I started building up some strength, teaching them on my own drips. Oh, this is how you do it. This is how that is done. And now 2 weeks later, can't believe it's 2 weeks ago. I'm here to share this with you and to make you realize that I was not diagnosed with breast cancer, although when I went through my stage of why me or what ifs, One of them was I would have preferred breast cancer, because brain surgery is much more advanced, much more high risky than having a mastectomy done. And it was a horrible thing to think, because I was under the best care of hands, best surgeons that there could have been. And I think there were many, many angels looking after me during that surgery. So, moral of the story, don't go through your diagnosis alone. It took me a day or two to reach that point. But you don't believe how many people are out there to support you and guide you and just think of you. It makes a massive difference.